Welcome back to the Death Row and Executions channel. My name is Paco. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more Death Row news. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. Also, check out my other channel here on YouTube called The Maximum Sentence, where I cover recent crimes and convictions and a maximum penalty handed down. There will be a link for that as well. Benjamin Donald Ritchie, who is now 44 years old, is scheduled to be executed in Indiana on May 20. There are actually two executions scheduled for that day. One is Matthew Lee Johnson in Texas. A video on that case should appear on this channel next week. And the other is Benjamin Ritchie in Indiana, the case we're going to discuss today. The last execution in Indiana was in December of last year, when that state executed Joseph Corcoran after a 15-year pause in executions in that state. A video on the case of Joseph Corcoran appeared on this channel a few months ago. You know, I think in most states, the murder of a cop on duty will almost always get you a death penalty. Benjamin Ritchie was born in 1980. And like I said, he's now 44 years old. He was 20 years old when he killed a cop in Beech Grove, Indiana on September 29 of the year 2000, 25 years ago. That day, while on routine patrol, another Beech Grove police officer named Matthew Hickey spotted a white van that matched the description of a van reported stolen earlier that evening. Officer Hickey followed the white van, which then accelerated at a high rate of speed. There were two occupants in the van. One was Benjamin Ritchie, who was driving, and the other, Michael Greer, a passenger. Officer Hickey gave chase, and he was joined in the pursuit by Officers William Toney, known more as Bill Toney, and also Sergeant Robert Mercury, each of them driving in separate police cars. So there were 3 police cars in total in the chase. The chase ended when Benjamin Ritchie crashed and wrecked the van, but he and his passenger got out quickly and fled on foot in separate directions. Officer Hickey chased Michael Greer on foot and caught up to him a short distance away and arrested him. Meanwhile, Officer Bill Toney chased Ritchie on foot, who went through a backyard. But Ritchie ran into some bushes to hide, and moments later, he ambushed Officer Bill Toney by firing 5 shots at the officer with a 9mm Glock handgun. Toney was wearing a bulletproof vest, but unfortunately, one of the 5 bullets missed the vest by 1 inch, cut through an artery, punctured Bill Toney's lung, and lodged itself in his vertebrae. Officer Toney managed to return fire, shooting his gun just once, but he became immobilized after being struck. Now, apparently, Ben Ritchie had a wig with him. Not sure what that was all about. And a short time later, he tossed out the wig and the gun in some shrubbery. And he managed to make it safely to the home of a friend. Following a massive search that involved over 100 officers, SWAT, sheriff's deputies, and others, investigators eventually learned that Ritchie was at the home of the friend, and he was arrested there the following morning. Now, once again, I read a case file where I am very saddened by something so horribly tragic, and then I find something in the report so ridiculous that it almost makes me want to laugh. You'll understand why in a moment. Apparently, while Ritchie was in jail, he allowed 4 different television reporters to interview him. And he told the reporters that he was very sorry about the death of Officer Bill Toney, but that he had not fired the gun. He said that he dropped his gun on the ground and that he heard it go off several times by itself as he was running away. During sentencing, Officer Bill Toney's wife, Dee Toney, gave an impact statement, but Benjamin Ritchie continually interrupted her in court. He laughed at her and he called her the B word after she called him a coward. The state of Indiana passed a law in the year 2002 that convicted felons must be present in the courtroom when family members of the victims are giving an impact statement. Apparently, there was a lot of outcries from the public that convicted felons were choosing to not be in the courtroom for that phase of the trial. However, according to reports, family members are also pre-warned of the possibilities of those felons lashing back out, since they have no concern about what could happen to them after being sentenced to death. Another thing I want to mention, even though it doesn't seem relevant to the case, apparently the New York Post thinks it does since they did a whole story about it, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there anyway. This is a woman who goes only by the name of Ivana. She is from the country of Sweden. Ivana has said that she became somewhat fixated on Benjamin Ritchie after seeing him in a death row documentary. She decided to write him and they made plans to meet. So she flew from Sweden and then visited Ritchie, and they continued to see each other. And according to her, they fell in love. They continued to see each other on a regular basis for about 4 years. Apparently, the Indiana Department of Corrections allows those visits for death row inmates. Anyway, Ivana said that she later became addicted to drugs, causing her life to spiral downwards, and she became pregnant by another man. But after giving birth, she was able to clean herself up, and she became totally sober to care for her child. Also, talking about Indiana DOC, in looking at this photo of Benjamin Ritchie from a death row documentary, it appears the inmates are even allowed to have a cat, and who knows what other pets. Officer William Bill Toney was killed 1 day before his 32nd birthday. He had 2 daughters at the time, ages 4 and 18 months, Jess and Emily Toney. In a report from 2018, it stated that they were both in college now. Unfortunately, Officer Toney's 2 daughters have very little memories of their father. Please remember to hit the subscribe button for more death row and upcoming execution stories so that you're alerted when the next one comes out. You can also follow me on Facebook for more death row news. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. My name is Paco. Take care and bye for now.